tensions are high as protests and rebellions continue throughout the state, the aftermath of a violent war still ever present in the lives of many. As a new regime is formed under President Julius Caesar, many take issue with the political goals of this new leader, a key member of the populace. Ex-consul Pompey has escaped to Greece, with many of his followers now left to the mercy of this new state. As Julius Caesar takes office, the nation mourns the loss of its citizens and is left in a new era of uncertainty.
Beware the Ides of March.
What means all this shouting? I do fear that the people choose Caesar for their king.
I do fear it. Then must I think you would not have it so?
I would not, Cassius, yet I love him well. But wherefore do you hold me here so long? What is it you would impart to me? If it ought be toward the general good, set honour in one eye and death in the other, I shall look on both indifferently. For let the gods so speed me that I love the name of honour more than I fear death.
I know that virtue to be in you, Brutus, as well as I do know your outward favour. Well, honour is the subject of my story. I cannot tell what you and other women think of this life. For my single self, I had as lief not as live to be in awe of things as I myself. I was born free as Caesar. So are you. We've both fed as well. And we can both endure the winter's cold as well as he. For once, upon a raw and gusty day, the troubled Tiber chafing with her shores, Caesar said to me, "Darest thou, Cassius, now leap in with me into this angry flood and swim to yonder point?" Upon the word, accruited as I was, I plunged in and bade him follow. Indeed he did. The torrent roared, and we did buffet it with lusty sinews, throwing it aside and stemming it with hearts of controversy. But ere we could arrive at the point proposed, Caesar cried, "Help me, Cassius, or I sink." I, as Aeneas, our great ancestor, did from the flames of Troy the old Anchises bear, so did I, the tired Caesar, from the waves of Tiber. And this man has now become a god. And Cassius, like a wretched creature, must bend her body if Caesar carelessly but nod on her. He had a fever when he was in Spain. And when the fit was on him, I did mark how we did shake. His coward lips did from their colour fly, and that same eye whose bend doth all the world did lose his lustre. I did hear him groan. Aye, and that tongue of his that bade the Romans mark him and write his speeches in their books. Alas, it cried, "Give me some drink, Titinius," as the sick girl. Ye gods, it doth amaze me a man of such a feeble temper should so get the start of the majestic world and bear the palm alone.
Another general shout. Do you believe that these applauses are for some new honours that are heaped on Caesar?
Why, man, he doth bestride the narrow world like a colossus, and we petty men must walk under his huge legs and peep about to find ourselves dishonourable graves. Men at some time are masters of their fates. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves, that we are underlings. Brutus and Caesar. What should be in that Caesar? Why should his name be sounded more than yours? Write them together. Yours is as fair a name. Sound them. It doth become the mouth as well. Weigh them. It is as heavy. Brutus will start a spirit as soon as Caesar. Now, in the name of all the gods at once, upon what meat doth our Caesar feed that he has become so great? Age, thou art shamed. Rome, thou hast lost the breeds of noble bloods that went there by the age since the great flood, but it was famed with more than one man. When can we say till now that talked of Rome that her wide walls encompassed but one man? Now it is Rome indeed and room enough, but there is in it only one man. You and I have heard our fathers say there was a Brutus once that would have brooked the eternal devil to keep his state in Rome as easily as king.
That you do love me, I am nothing jealous. What you would work me to, I have some aim. How I have thought of this and of these times I shall recount hereafter. This present, I would not. So, with love, I might entreat you be any further mute. What you have said, I will consider. What you have to say, I will with patience hear, and find a time both meek hear and answer such high things. Till then, my noble friend, chew upon this. Brutus had rather be a villager than to repute herself a daughter of Rome under such hard conditions at this time is like to lay upon us.
I am glad that my weak words have struck but thus much show of fire from Brutus.
The games are done and Caesar is returning.
What you do to me, there's nothing left to see. You left me in the dark now, and I'm blended with disease. What you do to me, maybe it's my dignity. You made me rip that all apart now, and there is no remedy. And I'm like, oh, hey, oh, I don't know how far this goes.
Good morrow, Brutus. Do we trouble you?
Up at this hour, awake all night. Now are these women that come along with you?
Yes, every woman of them. And no woman here but honours you. And every one doth wish you had but that opinion of yourself, which every noble Roman bears of you. This is Trebonius.
She is welcome hither.
This Decius Brutus.
She is welcome too. What watchful cares do interpose themselves betwixt your eyes and mine?
Let us swear a resolution.
No, not an oath. If not the face of men, the suffering of our souls, the time's abuse. If these motives be weak, break off bed times, and every man hence to his idle bed. So let the high-sighted tyranny range on till each man drop by lottery. But if these, which I'm sure they do, bear fire enough to kindle cowards and steal with valour the melting spirits of women, then, countrymen, what need we any spur but our own cause to prick us to redress? And what are the bond and secret Roman who spoke the word and will not palter? What are the oath and honesty to honesty engaged that this shall be? Or will we fall for it? Swear priests and cowards and men causeless, old feeble carrions and such suffering souls that welcome wrongs unto bad causes swear such creatures as men doubt. But do not stain the even virtue of our enterprise, nor the insuppressive metal of our spirits to think that of our cause or our performance did need an oath. when every drop of blood that every Roman bears, and nobly bears, is guilty of his several bastardy, if he do break the smallest particle of any promise that has passed from him.
Shall no man else be touched but only Caesar?
Theseus, well urged. I think it is not meet Mark Antony, so well beloved of Caesar, should outlive Caesar. We shall find of him a shrewd contriver, and, his means, if he improve them, may well stretch so far as to annoy us all, which to prevent, let Antony and Caesar fall together.
Our cause will seem too bloody, Caius Cassius. To cut the head off and hack their limbs like wrath in death and envy afterwards, for Antony is but a limb of Caesar. Let us be sacrifices, not butchers, Caius. We all stand up against the spirit of Caesar, and in the spirit of men there is no blood. Oh, that we could come along the spirit of Caesar and not dismember Caesar. But, alas, Caesar must bleed for it. And, gentle friends, let's kill him boldly, but not wrathfully. Let's carve him as a dish fit for the gods, not hew him as a carcass for the hounds. And let our hearts, as subtle masters do, stir up their souls to an act of rage, and after seem to chide him. This will make our purpose necessary, not envious, which so appearing to the common eye we shall be called purgers, not murderers. And Mark Antony, think not of him, for he can do no more than Caesar's arm when Caesar's head is off.
Yet I fear him, for in the engrafted love he bears to Caesar,
do not think of him. If he do love Caesar, all that he can do is take thought and die for Caesar. And that will much he should, for he is given to sporting, to wildness, much comfort.
There is no fear in him. Let him not die, for he will live, and laugh at this hereafter.
Peace, count the clock.
The clock hath stricken 3.
It is time to part.
But it is doubtful yet whether Caesar will come forth today or no, for he is superstitious grown of late. Quite from the main opinion he held once of fantasy, of dreams and ceremonies. It may be these apparent prodigies, the unaccustomed terror of this night, and the persuasion of his augurs may hold him from the capital today.
Never fear that. If he be so resolved, I can never sway him. For he loves to hear that unicorns may be portrayed with trees, bears with glasses, elephants with holes, lions with toils, and men with flatterers. But when I tell him he hates flatterers, he says he does, being them most flattered. Let me work, for I can give his humour the true bent, and I will bring him to the capital.
Nay, we will all of us be there to fetch him.
By the 8th hour, is that the uttermost?
Be that the uttermost, and fail not then.
Caius Ligarius doth bear Caesar hard, who raised him for speaking well of Pompey. I wonder none of you thought of him.
Now, good Decius, go along by him. He loves me well, and I have given him reasons. Send him but hither, and I'll fashion him.
The morning comes upon us. We'll leave you, Brutus, and friends, disperse yourselves, but all remember what you've said, and show yourselves true Romans.
Gentlewomen, look fresh and merrily. Let not our looks put on our purpose, but bear it as our Roman actors do, with united spirits and formal constancy. And so, good morrow to you, everyone.
In devastating news today, President Julius Caesar was assassinated on the steps of the Capitol. A band of conspirators, led by his once close advisor, Marcus Brutus, stabbed him today on his way to a meeting of the Senate. The conspirators have fled the scene and remain unfound.
How many ages hence shall this our lofty scene be acted over, in states unborn and accents yet unknown?
How many times shall Caesar bleed in sport that now on Pompey's basis lies along no worthy than the dust?
So oft as that shall be, so often shall the not of us be called the women that gave their country liberty.
I know that we shall have him well to friend.
I wish we may, but yet have I a mind that fears him much, and my misgivings still fall shrewdly to the purpose.
But here comes Antony. Welcome, Mark Antony. We must appear bloody and cruel, as by our hands and this our present act you see we do. Yet see you but our hands, and this the bleeding business they have done. Our hearts you see not, they are pitiful, and pity to the general wrong of Rome, as fire drives out fire, so pity hath done this deed on Caesar. For your part, to you our swords have leaden points, Mark Antony. Our arms in strength of malice and our hearts of brother's temper do receive you in with all kind love, good thoughts and reverence.
Your voice shall be as strong as any man's in the disposing of new dignities.
Only be patient till we have appeased the multitude beside themselves with fear. Then we will deliver you the cause why I, that did love Caesar when I struck him, have thus proceeded.
Doubt not of your wisdom. As shall I say, my credit now stands on such slippery ground that one of two bad ways must you conceit me, either a coward or a flatterer. That I did love thee, Caesar, though 'tis true. If then thy spirit look upon us now, shall I not grieve thee dearer than thy death, to see thy Antony making his peace, shaking the bloody fingers of thy foes? Most noble. Had I as many eyes as thou hast wounds, weeping as fast as they stream forth thy blood, it would become me better than to close in terms of friendship with thine enemies. Pardon me, Julius. Here was thou bade, brave heart. Here didst thou fall, and here thy hunters stand, signed in thy spoil, and crimsoned in thy leave. World, thou wast the forest to this heart, and this indeed, O world, the heart of thee. How like a deer, stricken by many princes, dost thou lie.
Mark Antony.
Pardon me, Caius Cassius. The enemies of Caesar shall say this, then, in a friend, it is cold courtesy.
I blame you not for praising Caesar so. But what compact mean you to have with us? Will you be pricked to number of our friends? Or shall we on and not depend on you?
Friends am I with you all, and love you all. Upon this hope, that you shall give me reasons why and wherein Caesar was dangerous.
Or else with this a savage spectacle. Our reasons are so full of good regard that with you, Antony, the son of Caesar, you should be satisfied.
That's all I seek. And moreover, suitor, that I may produce his body to the marketplace, and in the pulpit, as becomes friend, speak in the order of his funeral.
You shall, Mark Antony. Mark Antony here. Take you Caesar's body. You shall not in your funeral speech blame us, but speak all good you can devise of Caesar, and say you do it by our permission. Else shall you not have any hand at all about his funeral, and you shall speak in the same pulpit whereto I am going after my speech is ended.
It's so. I do desire no more.
Romans, countrymen, and lovers, hear me for my cause, and be silent that you may hear. Believe me for mine honour, and have respect to mine honour that you may believe. Censure me in your wisdom, and awake your senses that you may the better judge. If there be any in this assembly, any dear friend of Caesar's, to him I say that Brutus's love for Caesar was no less than his. If then that friend demand why Brutus rose against Caesar, this is my answer. Not that I loved Caesar less, but that I loved Rome more. Had you rather Caesar were living and die all slaves, and that Caesar were dead to live all free men? As Caesar loved me, I weep for him. As he was fortunate, I rejoice at it. As he was valiant, I honour him. But as he was ambitious, I slew him. There is tears for his love, joy for his fortune, honour for his valour, and death for his ambition. Who is here so base that would be a bondman? If any, speak, for him have I offended. Who is here so rude that would not be a Roman? If any, speak, for him have I offended. Who is here so vile that will not love his country? If any, speak, for him have I offended. I paused for a reply. Then none have I offended. I have done no more to Caesar than you shall do to Brutus. His death is enrolled in the Capitol, his glory not extenuated wherein he was worthy, nor his offences enforced for which he suffered death. With this I depart, that as I slew my best lover for the good of Rome, I have that same dagger for myself when it shall please my country to need my death.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is often interred with their bones. So let it be with Caesar. The noble Brutus hath told you Caesar was ambitious. If it were so, it was a grievous fault. And grievously hath Caesar answered. Here, under leave of Brutus and the rest, for Brutus is an honourable woman. So are they all honourable women. Come I to speak in Caesar's funeral. My friend, faithful and just to me, but Brutus says he was ambitious, and
Brutus is an honourable woman. He hath brought many captives home to Rome, whose ransoms did the general coffers fill. Did this in Caesar seem ambitious? That when the poor hath cried, Caesar hath wept. Ambition should be made of sterner stuff. Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honourable woman. You all did see that on the Lupercal I thrice presented him a kingly crown, which he did thrice refuse. Was this ambition? Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and sure, she is an honourable woman. I speak not to disprove what Brutus spoke, but here I am to speak what I do know. You all did love him once, not without cause. What cause withholds you then to mourn for him? Oh, judgment, thou art fled to brutish beasts, and men have lost their reason. Bear with me. My heart is in the coffin. There with Caesar. And I was forced to come back.
Civil war has broken out across Rome, with factions following Marcus Brutus and Mark Antony dividing the country in two. Word of Caesar's son Octavius Augustus returning to Rome to fight for Antony are said to be rumours. However, footage of his approach on the Appian Way suggests otherwise. There have been acts of rioting, terrorism and war as the country is once again thrown back into a war it has only just ended.